As you know, I recently had brain aneurysm surgery. The doctor had found a small aneurysm in the back of my head, and to correct it, he put a flow diverter stent back there so that the blood would flow directly across it so that it wouldn't get any blood and hopefully die and shrivel up and be done with. A few years back, my sister wasn't so lucky. And I want to read you this chapter from Couch Potato to Endurance Athlete. This was chapter 23, Losing My Best Friend. I was gearing up for a fantastic season. I scheduled the Shape Half Marathon in April with my running team, and then I was going to fly down to St. Petersburg, Florida to participate in the St. Anthony's Triathlon for my birthday. It was a race I wanted to do for years. I had joined Team in Training and raised $1,700 for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society to race there. I even signed up for my second attempt at doing a half Ironman in Augusta, Georgia. However, everything came to a halt on April 9th when Lori, my sister, who I had talked to hours before, was rushed to the hospital. She was in a coma. My sister had been complaining about headaches the week before, but no one thought anything of it, including her doctors. They thought it was just a migraine, nothing more. Turned out, Lori had a massive stroke and aneurysm, which led to 80% coverage in her brain. When the doctors saw us at the hospital, they wanted us to make a decision whether she should have surgery or not. If she didn't, she would die. If she did, there was a chance that she could recover. The doctors wanted to try to stop the bleeding in her head by inserting material into the aneurysm so blood could no longer flow through it, and those are called coils. When we couldn't decide, the doctor convinced us to have the brain surgery in hopes of a more promising outcome. As you know, Lori and I celebrated our birthdays on the same day, April 20th. So when April 25th came around, her daughters decorated her room with Big 60 all over, and we sang happy birthday to her. I was hoping for a steak and sushi dinner at Blackstone's with Lori to celebrate our birthdays together, but instead her daughters and I sat in palliative care. We knew the end was near and inevitable. Nearly 1 month later, after she entered the hospital, she died. The races that I thought were important to me weren't important any longer. The training that I enjoyed became a torture chamber for me. All I could see was my sister lying there in the hospital with tubes coming out of her head, her belly, her arms, everywhere. It was so disturbing. Dear Lori, it's your 60th birthday, and it gives me an opportunity to reflect on all the things that we've shared and experienced through the last 56 years of our lives. For starters, I'm sorry I arrived at your birthday. I hope I didn't make too much of a mess on your 4-year-old birthday party. However, Mom went ahead with it, and you got to enjoy everything you wanted. Mom used to tell me that I was your birthday present. I'm not sure if I ever believed her, but I think she tried to make you feel better that I was born on your birthday. I always looked up to you. You were my role model. You introduced me to the good things in life: cigarettes, pot, alcohol, boys, and drugs. Do you remember when the boys used to climb on the back of the house and they used to bang on the door and say, that was my room, and say, "Is your sister home?" I never asked anything. I never said anything to Mom, but I begged for a curtain over that door after that. After a breakup with your fiance, I had the brilliant idea of telling Brian that I thought you and Gary should get together. Gary was my husband's brother. It may have been a blessing and a sin because shortly thereafter, the two of you got married. You had an amazing dream wedding. I remember when you were pregnant with Stephanie. Oh my God, did you complain? And then you had her early. I was there outside the door at Stony Brook Hospital as you screamed in pain. And then everything got quiet. The next day I knew, a beautiful baby was born, and she was being taken down the hall. She was so small with the cutest little hair. I'm going to put on my reading glasses now because I can't really see this. And I remember how she was in NICU, N-I-C-U, NICU. I always get that wrong. And we didn't know what was happening. You visited with her every day after she was born. Mom was there too. That was one of the hardest times in your life, but you were so strong and got through it. Do you remember my wedding? Do you remember when you and Gary were both maid of honor and best man, and when you left, you guys saw an accident and Gary destroyed your dress to help the car accident victims? I know how much you liked that dress, haha. Not. Fast forward 3 years and another cherub entered the world. This time it was Jessica. What an amazing baby Jessica was, and I was in love with both my nieces. I felt like the luckiest person in the world. After a bad divorce, which left Brian and me stuck in the middle between you and my brother-in-law, I often wondered if we made a mistake introducing you. It caused so much conflict between our families, and at the same time, our best friends were getting divorced. I felt like my world was shattered. You got me through. You got through it. We all got through it. I was proud of you. You decided to go back to school and get your degree. I know you always wanted to be a nurse. You loved that. Dad always talked about when you dissected a pig, or was it a cat? I don't remember. Whatever it was, it stunk up the whole house. You raised two amazing girls on your own, and look at them now. They are incredible people, and I know how proud you are of them both. And Finley, I know he is the love of your life. You married Eric sometime after that and raised his two children, and I thought it was a perfect family. You had two, he had two, and even talked about having another, but unfortunately that didn't last. In life, you must go through a series of tests before you find your true love, and I know you found that in John. He treated you with respect, dignity, and was always there for you. He was completely different than the others. He was special, and he was your best friend. I remember your 50th birthday, going to the vineyards and getting totally drunk, singing songs and having a total blast, and I remember when you surprised me for my 50th. Then our world stopped when Mom died just a month or so later. It was horrible. It hit you so hard. It hit me hard too, but we handled it differently. But it wasn't all sad stuff. We shared some amazing times together, like when we decided to get massages for our birthday one time, or when we had a quiet meal with the boys, or with just each other. I loved celebrating our birthdays together. It meant the world to me. It wasn't even a year ago when we flew down to Florida together to visit Dad. I was so nervous that we wouldn't get along and would fight, but it really turned out great. We shared so many secrets, things I never knew about you. It was a total bonding experience. Fast forward to 3 weeks ago. We had a conversation about Mom dying and how she died so young. You know, it's not that far away. You ever think about that? I said. Yeah, that's why I want to live my life and travel and enjoy everything with John, you told me. What do you want to do for your birthday, I asked. You said an experience. I said, let's go back to the vineyards. It was so stupid that we couldn't find a weekend until July or August. It was ridiculous. You told me you wanted to go to Blackstone Steakhouse. I wanted to buy you something because our vineyard trip was so far off. I wanted to get you something that was meaningful, so I bought you a locket. I put up a picture of you and a picture of me in the locket. Then this happened. I'm glad that they called you in the morning, and I'm glad that we said I love you, as we always did every time we spoke. I wished I had spent more time on the phone with you that day. I felt rushed, and it wasn't private speaking at work, but we said I love you. Lori, I may have been mad at you for stupid things, and I'm sure you were mad at me too. That's what happens with sisters. But I wanted you to know that I always loved you and always looked up to you. You were my sounding board as I was yours. You raised two amazing girls, had a wonderful job that I know you loved. You also had a guy who was there 100% for you, and a dog, Gino, who was you were crazy about, although no one else was. You saw something in him that no one saw. You did good. You had a good life. You were an amazing sister who helped me more than you could know. Thank you for always being there for me. I really believe in my heart that we would grow old together and we would talk about our grandchildren and great-grandkids. I never thought this would happen. Not to you. I've learned my lesson here. Never take for granted anything in your life, not your parents, not your siblings, not your spouse, not your friends, not even your children, because you never know what will happen. I will love you through eternity. Just always chokes me up, that section. So that was the section that I wanted to read to you. I mean, it goes on, and you'll have to read it for yourself what else happens, because believe me, a lot has happened in this book, and it's still happening. You know, I just was told today that I should really go get surgery for my shoulder, that I've got something that's not right with it. I'm getting knee shots for my knee, for my meniscus. I mean, it's just always something. But I'm not going to let that stop me, and I don't want that to let you stop you either. You have to push through this. You have to get through this, and I have to get through this, and we will get through this. And, you know, it's just something that happens in life. Some people just get knocked down more than other people. I'm one of those people that keep getting knocked down, but I'm not going to let that defeat me, and I'm not going to let that define who I am. And I do hope that you go out and get this book, From Couch Potato to Endurance Athlete, a portrait of a non-athletic triathlete. And this was published by Meyer & Meyer Sports. I'm so grateful to them to have published this book. It really is a beautiful book, and I really hope that you go out and get it and enjoy it. And I'm sure you'll cry, but I'm sure you're going to laugh too, because there's some very funny sections as well in it. So with that, I'm going to say, I got to go take a shower. I look a mess.